1-0. So Hakkinen has found another 10th and a half in that final section, those final 2 corners where he is just blindingly fast.
Mika's made some very good starts this year, so it's going to be difficult, but I try my best and then see what happens.
It is race day number 10 for F1 2000, the compact A1 ring in the Styrian Mountains in the south of the country, staging the Austrian Grand Prix, and we're enjoying a fantastic display from half a dozen dragons, Saab dragons from the Austrian Air Force. Hello there, welcome to our studio. I can tell you this place is a weather forecaster's dream. Whatever you predict comes true, and we've had the full cocktail here over the last few days. I can tell you at the moment that it's cloudy, a lot of dark stuff around. The temperature's 17 degrees. There's a 30% chance of rain, but anything could happen really. Tony Jardine with me. Hi, Tony. Last time out at Manicourt, the McLaren, the old 1-2 from the Supermax of Woking, and so far this weekend, more of the same.
Sorry, I was just joking for that. I thought it was another bombing rain. Yeah, but this is originally was called a Mickey Mouse circuit when it was first truncated from the original Österreich. As you said, anything can happen here, but it has happened to Ferrari, and it's put them on the back foot because they've had an awful practice, low grip circuit. McLaren ahead, that pendulum is still swinging.
Just looking back at qualifying, everybody actually was looking up in the sky a bit like we are now, wondering if the rain was going to come. It didn't actually happen, but a lot of the teams went out early, and David Coulthard posted a very quick time.
Well, he waited till the big rugby scrum had all gone out. They all crammed onto the circuit. There were a few spots for rain. He went out just after them, about a lap after them. He had a very good setup on the car. He's got this sort of steely resolve still, but he seemed very relaxed, he's smiling, and he put in this very quick time, and later on he aborted an even quicker lap than that. And he's good because he's relaxed in a motorhome just around the road from here, living next door to Villeneuve, so it's handy for borrowing milk when you run out.
Rubens Barrichello loves this place, doesn't he? The Brazilian always goes well here. He's actually been quicker than Schumacher throughout the weekend. That's been a surprise.
But what they did, Ferrari found out it was best to go on the new tyres, and they came in and after a lap and got very, very quick indeed. But he said that he had a setup that made him feel very, very calm indeed. He's been smooth and quick all weekend. And of course, he's gone better than his teammate Michael Schumacher as well. And as you said, he just loves this place. So he's my dark horse for this race.
OK, Mika Häkkinen's had a bit of time off from Formula One. He's been biking in the mountains above his home in Monte Carlo, but he's come back in some style. He was quicker all morning, or quickest all morning leading up to the session, and he brought that form into the hour.
Well, the hack is back, but he's back with a big sparkle, and that's against the form, because everyone said, you know, he's lost that sparkle. But I think he's gone for a different setup, and he has said over the last 3 to 4 races that he hasn't been comfortable with the car, and of course that's built up against him. People have said, you know, he's taken his eye off the ball, but he has been seen, as we've seen here, running over the curbs. Look at it, going for it there as he did, and in the last section of the circuit he was mighty, so he's back with a vengeance.
Spectacularly fast through those final last couple of corners. Now, what do you make of Michael Schumacher? One or two most embarrassing errors leading up to the race, but is he kidding us all or what?
Well, he is a little bit, but this circuit is slow, slow, quick, quick, slow in terms of the 3 sectors. Unfortunately for him, it's slow, slow, and a little bit quick, and then into a spin. He said, I've got to go for it. He was in 4th position at the time. He tried a different setup. He likes a nervous car. He got it wrong, and he's sending out the signals, I'm in trouble, probably just to put put the others off their guard a bit, but I don't think they'll bite on his messages.
Just like old times, though, for Mika Häkkinen, first pole since Imola, 6 races ago, and looking very, very good.
His manager, Keke Rosberg, has said it's time for McLaren to make up their mind who their driver preference is, so he's trying to push McLaren to put all their weight behind Häkkinen, but they won't. It's Coulthard and it's Häkkinen. But Häkkinen here, as you said, in that last sector was great and went shaved another 10th. Now, we haven't heard him say, I went flat out for a long time, but he did, clearly enjoyed it. The smile was back on his face later on, and that was his 4th pole of the year, his 25th pole of his career. So it's an all McLaren front row. That's the 3rd time this year. Coulthard, he's got to get the consistency in there today. He's got to get off the line well. Ferrari's behind them, Barrichello ahead. Schumacher says, I'm going to go and make up places. So Coulthard needs a rear gunner. Truly the fastest. He listened to the weatherman, stayed in the garage. Zonta, his best ever on Grand Prix racing. Villeneuve, good team performance. Fisichella, well, Briatore's not happy with that, but Salo was happy. A lot of engine mapping work on the engine there. Verstappen improved the car all the time. Diniz, De La Rosa disappointed to be outside the top 10. Heidfeld equaling his best grid position at Nürburgring. Wirtz, got it all to do. They're even making jokes about the poor lad. Frentzen finished all his qualifying within half an hour. Herbert had suspension problems. Button and Ralf Schumacher in trouble there with no traction whatsoever. Then Genet and Bertie, the test driver from Jaguar, who's done a good job to get the Jaguar on the grid.
Thanks very much indeed, Tony. So then we have an all McLaren front row at the A1 ring, same as last year, but David Coulthard certainly won't want any repeat of the dramas that we had there on the 2nd turn in the opening lap. A gentle kiss between teammates was how Martin Brundle described.
Good one for Mika Häkkinen. Eddie Irvine's got away well, but he's still behind Coulthard, and Coulthard is still in that 2nd position.
A little bit of carbon fibre flying around off of a front, probably an end fence of a front wing. Oh, Coulthard and Häkkinen touch.
Mika Häkkinen is off the track, nudged together with David Coulthard, and he's going to have to storm his way through the field.
Front wing hanging off of Salo's Ferrari, look, bits and pieces flying off everywhere. Coulthard enjoying leading this Grand Prix. I'm not quite so sure he'll be enjoying his meeting with Ron Dennis when the race is over. He'll want to be his manager. And he's trying it, yes, and Frentzen really had to be kind there and let him through. Crucial stop there for Coulthard. And not bad there, not bad, not great, but not bad.
Eddie Irvine has just done his fastest lap of the race, and he's leading the Austrian Grand Prix by 22 seconds from David Coulthard. It'll be very close when they come out.
Nice stop by Ferrari. Is it good enough? Oh, is it good enough?
Well, it's good enough so far.
It is, look. Coulthard just coming out of the last corner, Murray, there. Coulthard coming under that bridge. Irvine's got to get out of that tight pit lane. Irvine will lead this race.
He's leading the race, and he's got Salo in front of him.
You know, it's up to you. Take it or leave it. I'm coming through.
This is the last corner, and Eddie Irvine wins brilliantly, brilliantly. The Austrian Grand Prix. Well done, Eddie Irvine.
Sadly, no Eddie Irvine this year. He's in a London hospital. Jaguar tell us he's expected to leave today. He's had severe pains in his abdomen. Apparently doesn't require surgery. Should be back at Hockenheim in a fortnight. He is replaced, we've been telling you, by the test driver, the Brazilian Luciano Berti. 8 to go then. Wins at Monaco, and Manny Cour have taken David Coulthard to within 12 points of Michael Schumacher. 10 points for a win, don't forget. Don't discount the seemingly revitalised Häkkinen. Barrichello, quickest in morning warm-up today, starting ahead of Schumacher. Will he still be there at the first corner, though? Fisichella handily placed on row 4. Ralphie Schumacher a distant 19th. It really has been a horror show so far for Williams. In the constructors, McLaren could even overtake Ferrari today, the big two having their own personal confrontation. The scrap for 3rd concerns Benetton, Williams, Jordan and British-American Racing, and they've got Zonta and Villeneuve in position to score. But Michael Schumacher really remains a man apart in Formula One. His tactics, particularly at the start, have been called unethical and dangerous by the likes of Jacques Villeneuve and David Coulthard. Today, Schumacher starts behind the McLarens on the back of the world champions' return to form. Here's James Allen.
having been out-qualified by his teammate the last 4 races and faced 1,000 questions about his loss of form and motivation, Mika Häkkinen bounced back in the strongest way possible yesterday, to silence his critics and to reclaim his pole position crown. His pace was awesome, his relief plain for all to see.
It has been a very tough season for me, and I would say last 3 Grand Prix. I haven't been able to bang a lap time in the qualifying what I wanted to do, and it's been creating certain pressure on me and pressure on the team, and there has been a little bit disappointment and a lot of question marks. Why, and like has been a lot of speculation. Has Mika lost his motivation, or he's not anymore interested about driving or something like this? And I've been trying to explain to people it's not that, you know, everything is fine, you know, just give me the time.
The rebuilding of Mika Häkkinen has been a careful process, but the smile is now definitely back on his face. But where does he go from here? Last year he tangled with Coulthard on the opening lap, and having lost the upper hand to his teammate recently, he will want to dominate from the start today. The potential for trouble is there, but McLaren refused to impose any kind of rule about the start.
One of the things when you come and drive for McLaren is you get equality and every opportunity to win, and if they share some race wins and neither of them wins the World Championship, okay, you can say, well, not the way you want it to be, but all I can say is the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and you know, Ferrari haven't won a World Championship for over 20 years, and as far as we're concerned, you know, our way is better, and that's the way it's going to stay.
But what of the threat from Ferrari? Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello are on row 2 today, but the team believe they can get the drop on McLaren at the start.
That margin between ourselves and McLaren is going to be difficult, but both our drivers have been making good starts recently, and they've not been so good, so the start could be critical.
The start will be under scrutiny today for another reason. After the recent row over Michael Schumacher's aggressive tactics in France, the FIA refused to criticise Schumacher, so in theory, drivers are free to chop their opponents off the start line. It's still a sore point, but at least one former champion says it's a pretty short debate.
First of all, he's an aggressive driver, everybody else is the same. And if I would have screwed the start up like he did in Monaco, I would have done the same thing. When he wanted to protect his pole position, and then later in the race, the passing of Coulthard and Schumacher was absolutely correct. So this is racing what we're looking for. So if you want to stop all that, it's going to be boring.
No problems then for Nicky there, but I know a lot of our viewers feel Michael Schumacher gets special treatment.
No problem at all. He just does the same as I've done. They get all the same things, crash and burn all the time. That's what you want, huh? I tell you. I work with that guy. He's unbelievable comedian, but a great driver he was, and he can't see anything wrong. But it can be dangerous, and that's the thing in the starts. That's what the drivers have been complaining about, because you could change direction once, but what Schumacher is doing, he's going right across the face of the field. Now, the worst one was at San Marino, at Imola. Now, you look, now Häkkinen makes a brilliant start, and let's hope he's going to do that today. He gets away. But Schumacher there, as he was circled, makes an awful start, gets far too much wheel spin. There's Häkkinen, off he goes, brilliant. Now, realising this, Schumacher cuts straight across the field. Now, look, there's people on the curbs, people on the grass, concertinaing up behind. They've got to lift off, they've got to brake. Eddie Irvine was incensed by that manoeuvre. Every driver's briefing since, he has had a crusade to say this has got to stop. Other drivers are backing up. Villeneuve is going for it. It's not ethical, it is not sporting, but it is within the rules, and that's why Schumacher will continue to do it unless someone says, oi, you're offside.
And will McLaren do it today?
I believe that Ron is saying to his guys, OK, there were no changes, you're going to have to employ aggressive tactics.
Okay, we of course will be watching this start very closely in half an hour's time, but now it's time to drive a lap of this A1 ring. One of the shortest laps on the calendar. There's a real hike up into the hills. The last corner has been particularly tricky over the last couple of days. Martin Brundle is your mountain guide, and at the wheel it is Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari.
Let's go inside that scarlet monocoque, onto the pit straight, up to 185 miles an hour, into the foot of the hill, and brake with about 80 metres before turn 1. Back end of the car goes light, don't clip the curb too much on the inside, ride the bumps on the exit. Barrichello on his way into the countryside, building up once again to 185 miles an hour, sweeping smoothly through the left-hander, again a gentle slope and brake very late into 2. Now you have to wait on that throttle. He's feeding the power in, and now hard as he heads down the back straight, and yet again he'll be building up to 185 miles an hour. Next time though, you've got to brake slightly downhill into turn 3 and get the speed down to just 70 miles an hour. A little bit of understeer from the Ferrari, and Barrichello smoothly on the power, sweeping through 4. Watch the white line on the right hand side, now connect with it into 5. Patient with the throttle, slightly downhill now towards 6 after 150 miles an hour, just 125 through the apex, and again smoothly on the power. Let the car have its head, run out to the left hand side, over the crest, you're towards turn 8 already. 180 miles an hour, flick down 2 gears, 130, but don't run too wide, and turn 9 is on top of you straight away. Bury the car into the apex, a bit of understeer. Barrichello running slightly wide there, but he collects it all up over the start finish line, the shortest lap of the year time wise.
Barrichello quickest in the morning warm-up. Now there have been some important developments this morning concerning the Prost team. Let's go live to the pits now and join our reporter. There she is, Louise Gooden.
That's right, Jim. Alain Prost may be a 4-time World Drivers' Champion, but I think it's safe to say his career as a team owner has been less than spectacular. He bought this team from Guy Ligier back in 1997. It was actually on Valentine's Day 1997, but this is one love affair that I think it's fair to say it's gone sour. The rumour circulating in the paddock today is that Alain Prost is in the final stages of negotiations to sell his team to a Canadian company. Now, Prost has refused to confirm the speculation, but interestingly enough, he won't deny it either.
Thank you very much indeed, Louise. It looks like it could be the end of Alain Prost's career as a team boss. Pit lane is open, as you can see. The weather has continued to be bright here, but there is a lot of dark stuff overhead, and we are just under half an hour away from the start of the Austrian Grand Prix round 10 of the championship. Talking there about Alain Prost, it isn't often you get 3 team bosses round a table, but we've actually managed it. No holds barred either, as Martin sat down with Benetton's Flavio Briatore, Eddie Jordan and McLaren's Ron Dennis. 3 very different personalities.
When Bernie retires, who's going to run the show? There's 3 suspects around this table maybe. What is it going to be, a committee? Is it going to be a company? Is it going to be the city? Who's going to run the show?
It's unlikely to be anybody that's associated directly with the team. I mean, we need to have impartiality and certainly no conflict of interest, that's for sure. But I think that there is always one team that looks to get either a commercial or technical advantage out of any situation that comes along. It's been Ferrari for years and years. Before I was involved in Formula One, you can go back and chart any disruption in Formula One. They try to take either a technical or commercial advantage, and they are singularly capable of disrupting the harmony between the teams, and that's what happened in '97, and it will continue to happen.
Hot stuff. Formula One has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. Where is Formula One going to be 5 years from now, in terms of the show or performance? Or
we need to be part of this business because it's our business. We run the show, nobody else. But we need to be together, because the problem, like Ron said before, is always some distraction for somebody else. But we need to stop that. You know, we are big enough and growing enough to decide our future.
Ed, the future, is it going to be stronger, better? Will Formula One be much bigger 5 years from now?
I have to believe that I'm a total optimist anyway, but bearing that in mind, I can only see this absolutely grow into something huge, even bigger than what it is today, despite the fact of 380 or 400 million live viewers every Grand Prix. The world is out there for some reason. It likes Formula One. It likes the interchange between the human side and the technology side, and this is something that no other sport or business seems to have.
Ron?
There's plenty of, you know, our Supreme Commander, Mr. Eccleston, there is the past master at divide and rule, and I think inevitably down the road, you know, as he chooses to retire or sell his company, I think it will stabilise in that area and we'll be a more homogeneous group of people, but that's down the road, and at the moment what we have to focus on, as always, is winning races and growing our companies. But it's still a great sport. I think Eddie's, you know, pointed out it can be even better, but it takes time, and you know, it's got to be a step-by-step process.
Homogeneous in Ron Dennis speak. Homogeneous, if you prefer, means all pulling together, doesn't it? But he obviously feels that Ferrari are pulling the other way.
Well, the war continues with Ferrari. He doesn't really get on with them at all. But the thing is, in the past, Ferrari have been guilty of using their strength and their popularity worldwide for political ends. That is, I mean, go back to the 50s, they just threatened to pull their cars out of an event. But team bosses, that's another thing.
Who comes in when Bernie says bye-bye?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it'll be a sorry day when Bernie goes, because I used to work for him at the Brabham team when he owned that. He's hard, of course he's hard, and he's fair, but he's dictatorial. Of course, there's a downside of that, but this incredible energy, he knows the recipe for good racing. He can sniff out a winner, he can put the whole thing together, and of course you do get decisions. What I fear is if they put a committee together, all in their blazers, RFU style, old fuddy-duddies who can't make a decision. We've already got a group of team bosses who have to be unanimous and can't make decisions together because they're protecting their own investment. It has to be an independent body. That's why a dictatorship works in Formula One as it does in other sports. So I'll be interested to see what they're going to come up with.
OK, Tony, thank you very much indeed. Well, one man who sadly, in my view anyway, relinquished control of his team is Jackie Stewart, whose organisation is the new Jaguar. Jackie's really been there and done everything in the world of motorsport. He's now got a chance to return to his roots and savour the scenery.
I suppose I've been coming to Glencoe from about the age of 17 when I got my driving licence. The weather changes, the light changes, sometimes it's angry, sometimes it's frightening. And other times it's so placid and so incredibly beautiful.
Jackie has plenty of time on his hands now that he's sold his team and withdrawn from Formula One. But the team he left behind has struggled this year. So does he think that Jaguar came in too early?
We are not as well prepared as we should have been. And the move from the Stuart Ford team to be Jaguar Racing was bigger than anyone anticipated. I personally felt that we should have waited another year, learning to work with each other before committing ourselves to a brand new operation, because it has been disruptive. Having said that, we've got to get on with it and we've got to do it, and it's as simple as that.
Jackie took us back to the garage in Dumbarton where he grew up, pumped petrol and began his lifelong love affair with the motor car.
We used to have motor racing film nights here once a month in the winter, where we would clean all the workshop, make it immaculate, and then we would show motor racing films of Fangio and Stirling Moss and Mike Hawthorne and Peter Collins and Hans Stuck and everybody like that, when I was still in my teens.
Jackie's successful driving career had humble origins.
I drove in the hill climb here in the early 60s. It was one of my very first events. I drove a Marcus, which was a wooden car at the time with a small Ford engine. And down there, in fact, we can just see the old track. There was a thing called the hump and the bump, and it's going to rain, where you took off. And then you came up here, that's called Bridge Corner. You came up here, that's called the Cobbler, because that hill there, if you look at it from the other side, from down there, it looks like a man fixing a shoe. And then you came up to, this is obviously called Hairpin Bend. And then the finishing line was just here.
What's it like to sit at home or be up here in Scotland watching the Grand Prix on the television, the team that you built up and not being there yourself?
I'm always willing them on. I mean, I'm always hopelessly disappointed if something goes wrong. I think I'm like any other fan who's watching in television and listening to Murray and listening to Martin and yourself. It's different. It's different. But I don't feel a loss from it. I have no disappointment from doing what I've now chosen to do. There's no vacuum in my life because of it.
You enjoy the show, Jackie. While we're talking about the Stewarts, by the way, Jackie's son Paul made a brief appearance here in Austria. He is recovering from cancer surgery and battling on very well. Second weekend in July, traditionally the Silverstone weekend until this year, when the circuit made April fools of us all. I'm told today it is dry, it is sunny, and it is very pleasant at Silverstone. And very much the same here in Austria, although those clouds are threatening, and judging by that umbrella, it is starting to drizzle as we are 20 minutes from the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. You are back with us at Spielberg's A1 ring. We're just over 100 miles southwest of Vienna, side of the old Österreich ring. Michael Schumacher making his way to the grid. Last year, Eddie Irvine won here for Ferrari on the back of a slick one-stop strategy. He went 44 laps before taking his only stop. Best guessing the strategy this time round, here's James again.
Well, traditionally, Austria is a one-stop race with a long first stint. Unlike the French Grand Prix, tyre wear here really isn't a problem. But quite a few teams will be looking at what Sauber did last year here. Pedro Diniz started 17th on the grid and finished 6th on a two-stop strategy. Now, a two-stop strategy is about a second a lap faster than a one-stopper around this circuit, so if you're confident you can overtake the traffic, it's certainly worth a try. And the flexibility could be an advantage as well, especially on a day like today when the weather is so uncertain it could well rain. I expect quite a few midfield teams will two-stop today, but what about the front runners? Well, Ferrari did it back in 1998, and they may well feel that the only way to beat McLaren today is to run a lighter fuel load at the start and be aggressive. But the hard truth for Ferrari is that their car is a full half-second a lap slower than the McLaren around this track. So whatever they do today, it's going to be difficult. At the end of the day, it's going to be a damage limitation exercise for Ferrari.
It's time to take a little stroll down along the grid, and that means Martin Brundle. Hi, Martin.
Hello, Jim. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the grid. Well, we've got an all-silver and then all-red second row up at the posh end. At the back, it's a little bit topsy-turvy. We've got two Jaguars and two Williams back here. One man I desperately want to have a talk to is Luciano Berti, who is going to start his first ever Grand Prix. Luciano. Okay, thanks for talking to us. So, you've been thrown in at the deep end. You didn't start until Saturday for this Grand Prix. I mean, now the moment's arrived. What are you thinking?
So far, I think I'm pretty relaxed. I've just been thinking if yesterday and today just as a normal test session. I know that it's not, but I'm trying to pretend that it is. So I've just concentrated to learn the track. Of course, I didn't have enough time to do that. Try to improve the car because it was set up for Eddie. So let's see what happens now.
Well, you seem relaxed enough, but look, on your overalls, you've had to put a bit of gaffer tape. Didn't you have any with your own name on?
Well, it's not just Eddie's car, but Eddie's overall and boots and everything. So I'm almost at Irvine now.
Are you using his seat? You might catch something nasty if you're sitting in Eddie's seat.
I heard that before, yeah.
Okay, well, good luck. You must be more nervous than you're appearing.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. I just feel okay. For me, it's like another race. I'm trying to forget all around me, but seriously, I'm okay.
You've got 21 of the world's finest drivers in front of you. Don't forget them too much. Good luck from ITV. Let's have a wander down the grid. There's a man down there I want to have a chat to if I can find him. Quite a long way down. I think Brian Adams is on the grid here with Jordan. And actually, isn't somebody else look who we might have a word with? Colin Jackson, the hurdler. Have a quick word. Colin, Martin Brundle, ITV. How are you doing?
Very well indeed.
So. What are you doing here? I heard you're not fit enough to run today, to hurdle today in the... Excuse me, Bernie, we're busy. Well, you're not fit enough to run, but obviously coming to have a bit of relaxation here at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'm here on my way really to Munich. I'm going to see my doctor tomorrow, and hopefully he can give me the whole clear that I can get on the track and train properly and get on my proper stuff.
Yeah, good luck with that. So what are you looking for today? What do you think is going to happen? Who you batting for?
Well, we're all looking at the weather really at the moment. It looks like it's pretty good, and obviously I'm a David Coulthard fan there, and I'd like David to go out there and prove a point yet again. I think he's got the capability, he's got the car, and I hope he can get out there and do the job.
Do you drive, mate? Are you into driving?
Yeah, but not at this pace, that's for sure.
All right, well, good to talk to you. See you later. Hope everything gets fixed soon. Let's carry on wandering down here. Then we're going to have to run a little bit because I think he was starting there with Frenson's car. And then he is, I'm told, moving down to Trulli's car. By the time I get down there, he'll probably be in the pits somewhere and having whatever he takes. But let's keep going. It's amazing how long the grid is, isn't it? I didn't realise it was quite so far down this grid, but I'm not going to give up now. You're still there, Andy. Right, here we go. There's Mr. Jordan. Look, where is he? Here he is. Brian, glad I caught up with you. Had to run to you.
Bit of English humour there right away.
Yeah, it seems like everything I do today is in a bit of a rush, but please forgive me. Yeah. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
Yeah, good stuff. So you're obviously here with the Jordan team.
Yeah, they've invited me down here.
But it's not your first Grand Prix, is it?
It is my first Grand Prix, yeah.
Is it?
The only other thing I've been to is Indy before that, in America.
The first time I went to a Grand Prix, I thought I was going to go to heaven, you know?
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Now, these drivers are pretty reckless, but they don't give up, do they?
Speaking about not giving up.
We've got to keep going. So, what do you think? Did you see these cars in action this morning in the warm-up?
I've only just arrived like half an hour ago, so I haven't seen anything.
It's going to blow your mind away when you hear them and see them, but thanks for talking to us. Let's hope we can make it a race to remember. Thank you very much, Brian.
When you're gone. See you.
Okay, back to you in the studio.
Just trying to count the song titles there, Martin, with the old groover from Vancouver. Must have been seeing Colin Jackson inspired him to break into a trot there, I think we can probably call that. There we are, 1 or 2 facts and figures for you that might enhance your enjoyment this afternoon. 5 of the last 7 winners here have gone on to win the championship itself. Coulthard, second in his 3 A1 ring races. And don't forget, they've only been racing here for the last 3 years. The circuit was shut down, formerly the Österreich Ring. And that's courtesy of McLaren, that fact there. 790 tires he's used. They would be as high as the Eiffel Tower. One for our Anorak audience. Pole position drivers only won 5 out of 22 in Austria. The circuit constructed in just 280 days 4 years ago at a cost of £15 million. And Michael Schumacher is the only driver to win a race from pole position this season. Now, well, Luciano, the Brazilian, his car is being wheeled away a bit earlier. Problems for him and for Jaguars if he needs them before his Formula One debut, and those problems continue with less than 10 minutes to go to the start of the Grand Prix. We're poised for another pivotal battle in the quest to become the first Formula One champion of the new millennium. Coulthard has to rein in Michael Schumacher. Schumacher's got to start behind the Scot and the world champion Hakkinen. He is back on song. Barrichello's in the mix as well. So are those fast starters Trulli and Villeneuve. The Austrian Grand Prix comes next.